Okay, hello everyone. How are you? Welcome, welcome. It is Drama Free Friday. So if you're just popping into the chat, say hello. I'd love to know where you're from. And let me start this again. I forgot to start recording. Sorry. Hello, hello. It's Barb Owen and you're at Drama Free Friday. Hello, Miss CB. Hi, Sue. Yeah, any of you guys who are from, have never been here before, I'd love to know where you're from. And welcome. It's so nice to have you here in my studio on a Drama Free Friday. Hey, Ruth. Ruth got her paint cart today. Good for you. Susan, Southeast Alabama. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Hey, Carol. Nice to see you. So I'm just giving everybody a couple seconds to kind of get in here and get a seat. Let's see, I need to adjust my computer just a smidge. Okay. Looks like all is right with the world at the moment. Hi, Jerry. And Zandra and Margaret, I believe that's right. Hi, Pavla. Nice to see you. Okay, so, we have a special guest today. If I had a drum roll, I'd do a drum roll, but she's going to come on here in just a second. I'm thinking. I need to take a chill pill. I need to take my own medicine and do my own Drama-Free Friday thing. I need to go, It's been a crazy little morning around here. It's been a crazy week. Actually, this week what I've been doing is cleaning up my studio. Okay, anybody that has a creative space of any kind knows what a nightmare that can be, right? I see Race. Hey, Race. Technical department has checked in. Deborah's from southern Minnesota. That's great. We got people from all over. That's cool. Hi, Vicki. Boy, Vicki Barton, I haven't seen you in ages. It's so nice to see your name pop in the chat. It's been crazy for Jerry, too. It must be in the air. So I've been cleaning and reorganizing my studio space, and I think I've gotten rid of, so far, about 12 tons of crap. The technical department, also known as Race, will be glad to hear that. Yeah, he'll be glad to hear that. Yeah. I found a little cat hair, I might add. Hi, Sharon. You're in Missouri too, huh? That's cool. That's great. Okay, so anyway, let's chat for a second. I do have a special guest coming on, and she was recently published in this magazine, Art Journaling magazine. I'm sure any of you that take that magazine and kind of follow the artistic adventures of people online will know who that is. So I'm going to introduce her right here. Bring up some volume here. And her name is Dianne Fago, and she is coming on. So hang on, everybody, and let's see. Let's see if I do this right. Shall we? All right. Ta-da! Hi, Dianne. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So good to see you.
Yes.
So everybody, you guys will know her as PackerDi. And this is PackerDi, in case you have not been watching her YouTube channel or you haven't been staying up with her blog or all the other places that you can hang out with her. This is PackerDi right here. Except she's not here. She's there. She's north of me in Nebraska.
Yay.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Good.
And everybody's safe, I understand, after a traumatic event that happened this week.
We had a tornado on the 27th, so we were very blessed because it was not long after my kids got out of school, which they get out of school about 30 minutes before public schools do.
Oh, wow.
So we were actually home and in the basement, and where the funnel came down and didn't touch, but it was a decent sized funnel cloud that came down. and didn't touch the ground, but it was probably only a couple miles away from my children's school.
Ooh,
So,
golly.
and several other schools, actually, the path that it took. So,
Oh, wow. But it was after school.
yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
But there were lots of schools who, kept their kids, kept them in because it was getting
Too dangerous.
Things were getting crazy right whenever their school got out. So
yeah, cool. So I got to pass along some messages from people in the chat. So before we start asking questions, I need to pass these along to you. First of all, let me say hi to Kasha. Let's see. Sorry, happy birthday. We have a lot of happy birthdays.
yes.
And Juliana Beasley, I think it is, says, PackerDi, you're awesome. And lots of people saying hi. And
Elliot, stop.
And Deborah Peterson says, love your collage work. And
you have to be good.
So if you guys, those of you that are in the chat, if you have things that you want to pass along to her, she's not watching the chat. And so if you have things you want to ask her or things you want to say to her, if you'll type them in caps in the chat, that will be perfect. And then I will take a break every little bit and relay the questions and so forth. So, okay, so I understand that we have some little guests in your space too, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, how about if you
Gracie?
How about if you bring them on and we'll chat with them for a little bit too?
Yeah. She's very excited. As soon as when I told her this morning, Gracie got a bunch of her stuff. Come here, Grace.
So while she's gathering her stuff, tell them, in case there's anybody here that doesn't know who these little ones are, why don't you tell them who they are?
Well, here, Elliot. This is Elliot.
Okay, there's Elliot. And Elliot, how old is Elliot now?
Elliot, how old are you? You have to talk.
5.
5 years old.
5 years old. So I stopped.
And Elliot's into Minions.
Yes. I started art journaling when Elliot was, like 4 months old. So.
Yeah, because I remember watching you stream and hold him in one arm, and you were painting with your fingers with the other hand.
Yep, exactly.
And that went on for, it seemed like a long time. I'm like, she's going to have muscles of Popeye in that one arm.
Well, he was little, so he just fit up there just perfectly.
He did.
Elliot, you got to stop.
He did.
So
okay.
This is Gracie.
And this is Gracie. Gracie, how old are you?
I'm 8.
8 years old. Oh, that's great. What grade are you in?
2nd.
2nd grade. And Gracie, tell us, do you art journal?
Sometimes.
You do?
I have a journal with a lot of pictures in it.
Ah, okay. Did you bring some things to show us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to hold it up?
Yeah.
She just made these today because she was so excited to be on here. She likes making the index cards along with me.
So she's making index cards. That's cool. That's really neat, Gracie. That's cool. It says believe with a butterfly.
Let's do this one.
Okay.
I made that one all by myself a couple days ago.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
This is the mesh bag from a fruit bag.
Uh-huh.
There.
The cuties.
Oh,
Cuties bag. Okay.
I made this a while ago.
Oh, look at those. I see those wings on there. Create your own life. Oh, that's beautiful, Gracie. Yep. Okay. You have some more?
I made this a couple, I think, years ago.
No, it was last year. We were using weird instruments like,
Uh-huh. That
Gosh.
looks like celery.
yeah.
Is that a piece of celery? Or what is that made the...
I think she used a fork down here
Uh-huh.
to make the texture.
Okay.
And then this was one of her school projects, which we love because it's her manatee.
Oh, that's wonderful, her manatee. And that you had to do that for school, huh?
Yeah, it was a undersea animal project.
Undersea Animal Project. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so hang on just a minute. I got to tell you some stuff.
Okay.
Whip Smart Carol says, I love all Diane's art on Instagram. And Pavla says she remembers Elliot as a baby when she started watching PackerDi. And then someone else, Deborah Peterson says, hi, Elliot and Gracie. And Carol says, nice work, Gracie. Very pretty. Hello. Good work, Gracie. Pretty. And way cool, Gracie. and then how cool, Gracie. So you got 2 how cools, Gracie. That's cool. That's great. Okay, you got some more things to show us?
I think that's it.
That's it? Okay. Does Elliot have anything he wants?
He's got
Okay.
one more. This was for school too.
Oh, that's nice. Tell me about that one. That's
I
beautiful.
think it was either an art class or it was in our classroom.
Uh-huh.
And we made a lot of yellow circles, and we put them onto the paper, and then we used the tip of our pencil, and we dipped it in white paint, and then we made the petals.
So did you cut out the yellow circles to put on there? Did you cut out the yellow circles and then dip the pencil point in to make the are those flower petals around the yellow, or what are the white spots?
They're the flower petals.
Flower petals, okay. Oh, that's wonderful. That's really nice. Good job.
Thank you.
So does Elliot have anything he wants to share too?
I actually loved that one so much. We had it it's on the door
Uh-huh.
where we stick all of the art. But I loved that one so much that
She made one in pixels.
I did. This is for the anti-journal.
Uh-huh.
One of the assignments in it was to pixelate an image.
Oh, how
So
cool.
I did Gracie's picture.
Oh, that's great. So you took Gracie's inspiration and pixelated it. That's
Yes.
great. Oh, how fun. Was that fun for you to see that, Gracie?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's cool. That's great. So does Elliot have anything he wants to share with us?
Yeah,
He's a couple. He's watching YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's watching a show. I think.
Okay, so he's busy. Okay.
Yeah.
Gracie, oh, let me see. What's that one? What's
This
that?
is just for school.
Uh-huh.
He has a lot of school projects.
Yep, he's got his school ones.
Oh, this is Elliot's?
Yep. That's
Okay.
Elliot's.
Oh, that's cool. Good for him. All right.
And
And there's another one. Oh, that must be a minion.
Joy and that's sadness.
Oh,
yeah,
joy and
from,
sadness.
Inside out.
Inside Out.
Inside out. Okay.
All right, are we good? So you want to hold
Great.
one up, Ellie, and then you need to go back and finish your show.
How about you finish?
We're gonna get all the
Okay,
kids show here, show and tell. Oh, that's great. I love that one.
Those are his hands.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's great.
Okay.
So he's got his hands there. Wonderful.
All right. Are we good, Ellie? Okay. You want to? Okay. Then he did this one, which is tissue paper glued on to make the earth.
Oh, very good. Tissue paper glued on to make the earth. That's wonderful.
Okay. A rainbow. Yes.
Good job. With a cloud.
Okay. All right. That's good, buddy.
Okay,
And
thank
then-
you guys.
Yay.
Oh, and he's writing his name. Elliot, good for you. That's wonderful.
All right. That's good. That's enough. You did good. Okay. Okay. Show her that one real quick, and then that's.
And we got one more. Okay.
Oh, that's me hugging him. He said.
I see. Okay. Good job, Mom. You did a
Okay.
good hug.
Oh, bye.
Bye, Gracie. Thank you for
Okay,
sharing
show
with
that one.
us.
Okay, Elliot. Thank you, buddy.
And thank you, Elliot, for sharing with us.
Okay, go
Good
finish your
job,
lunch.
you guys. And everybody says, keep up the good work.
No.
Love the kids' art. So
Hi, everyone.
2
that's
thumbs up.
watching.
Okay. Say bye-bye now. Okay.
we got a thumbs up.
Okay. Say bye real quick.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Elliot.
Jeez, Louisies. All right.
That's okay. We knew that we knew that when we had children that we were going to have to roll with the punches, didn't we?
Yep. They are always with me, so it's just part of who I am.
You know, one of the things, yeah, it is. And one of the things that I really enjoy and have always enjoyed about watching you, and I know it's frustrating to you sometimes, of course, because they're your children. But and they're always more frustrating to the mom. But one of the things I have loved all of the years that I've known you, and we actually got to meet in person a few years ago when Elliot was still pretty small.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've always admired and loved about what you do and how you relate to your children is the encouragement that you give your kids when it comes to art and creativity. And so that is just, I'm telling you, on those horribly frustrating days, I just want to give you so many props for doing that, because it's just, I think it's remarkable, because you've also allowed your kids to use your art supplies, which is probably frustrating to you too.
There's only a couple things that they, that are off limits.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the Copic markers are off limits.
Right. Copic markers and Neo 2s and
yes.
a few things like that. Okay. Well, shall we talk?
Yep.
Can we
just
talk?
On that note, real quick, I think the reason why I'm like that is because I think I wish that, my parents were always very super supportive, but I think I wish they would have, and they always knew that I was creative and artistic, but I wish that they would have pushed that in me.
Yeah.
And, supported me to pursue that, because I didn't take a single art class in high school.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah. I loved art, but so I've just always really strongly wanted to make sure that, because I could always tell that all of them had something creative in them. And so I've just always, if they wanted to be right there working on stuff, then,
Now, one of your other children is in art school. Is that right?
Abby, my 19, soon to be 20-year-old, is she actually just had her last day for her freshman year at college, and she's an art major. So
oh, good for her.
She's amazing. She wants to pursue computer animation.
Oh, wow.
So
good for her.
Her dream would be to, go to one of those nice big fancy schools and learn how to do that and make movies. So,
well, good for her. Well, go for the dream.
Yes.
Always go for the dream.
Yep.
So, so first of all, we all want to know, how did you get the name PackerDi?
Whenever I first started, I think it was probably maybe actually when I first got on Twitter, which is funny because now I'm not on Twitter at all. I don't read anything on Twitter, I guess I'd say. I needed a screen name, and I'm a huge Packers fan, football fan. Green Bay Packers, and I thought, well, I'll just be PackerDi, because, and then whenever I thought, well, I'll just make a video, and I think my first one was for a image transfer canvas, where you just use the gel medium to transfer the image.
Right.
I thought I was doing that, and I thought, oh, heck, I'll just do a video for it. And that's like one of my worst videos. That's awful. And it's got like tons of views. But
and this is on YouTube?
When I had to sign up for YouTube, I had to have a username. It's like, well, nothing's going to come out of this. So I'll just use PackerDi.
Right. and when was
nobody's
that?
going to watch any of my stuff. That's how I felt. Like, who's going to want to watch what I make? So I was like, oh, I'll just stay PackerDi. So now I'm stuck PackerDi, because that's how everybody knows me.
And how long ago was it that you filmed your first video?
I think it's been 4 years.
I
think it's 4 years ago. So, because we had moved into this house, I was doing streams on Ustream. But yeah, that was 4 years ago.
Wow. That's
and then
great.
I think I started just doing the regular ones when I discovered the index card a day, because I was making those every day, and I think that's kind of what really got me going as far as staying with it.
Cool. So how many times, do you have a certain number of videos you want to put out a week or anything like that, or you just do it when you have time?
Right now I do it when I have time, just because 75% of my time I'm driving in the car, so
okay.
back and forth from school. But my goal, as soon as summer vacation starts, is to have a video on Monday, like a collage video, and then on Tuesday, on Wednesday, have like a mixed media video, and then on Friday, just have kind of whatever.
Oh,
so that's
cool.
my goal.
That's great. That's super. That is cool. So when did you start doing art journaling? The thing that's called art journaling. When did you know you were doing it?
And I since I knew you were going to ask this question, I had been trying to think of what got me started, because at first I really wasn't interested in it at all, and I don't know why. I guess just because maybe the ones that I had seen, it was 2011.
Okay.
And well, I think it was after Elliot was born. He was born in January, and I don't remember how I discovered it. Probably just poking around on the internet, and I discovered Paula, Journal Artista, and I started watching her streams, and that's what really started getting me hooked and made me think, you know what, I could do this. This is something that I could do, and so I just, started playing around with it. But before then, I've always been crafty, and I've done every type of craft that you can think of, quilting and cross stitch and, everything that you can think of.
Yeah.
But I never really pursued anything paint related. So.
And now look what happened to you.
I know.
So you really haven't.
I go into Golden.
Yeah.
Or not Golden. I go into Blix when I'm bored. And even if I have no money and I walk in and they're like, "Can I help you?" And I say, "No, I just came in to pet the paint."
Yeah.
And they know, I've been in there enough that
they're
know.
like,
so
"Oh, here she is. Here she is visiting the paint again."
But I just love how everything's lined up in color order. That really appeals to my OCD with that. So I just, I'm on basically no buy. I don't buy unless I run out. So I've collected so much stuff these few years, gotta have it. And so I bought it. And now
you're into the use it up. Use it up.
So I don't buy unless I run out.
Okay. So why did you start the whole art journaling thing? Was it just the curiosity of it, or were you doing it to express yourself, or did some other reason?
I think a bit of both. And I think I've always wanted to be a written journaler, to do written journaling, and I know I've always tried in the past and failed miserably.
Oh, really?
And I'm just not keeping up with it.
Okay.
And I think after I learned, it kind of clicked that this was a way that I could express how I'm feeling and my emotions without having to write down anything. As soon as that really clicked, that's what really got it rolling. Or if I wanted to write it down, if I needed to get something out that I was really struggling with, I'd write it down and then cover it up with paint.
Yeah. I do that a lot too. Black gesso is my friend.
Yes.
Because that's the one way that I don't censor myself. If I promise myself I can paint over it with black gesso because it's really black, that way I can get all that stuff out of here and onto paper, and then, paint over it with gesso, and after a couple days, I don't even remember what was there, So
sometimes I kind of remember, but most of it, it's just, I was just glad to get it out. So.
Now, I don't know if you always do this, but I know at some points you've used song lyrics that have inspired you. Is that something that you still do?
All the time.
Do you?
In fact, don't do what I do, but I have to keep a notepad in my car because I listen to Pandora all the time. And if a song comes on and I hear a lyric, and sometimes I might hear that same song 3 or 4 times, but for some reason, maybe that time, some lyric just, says everything that I'm feeling right then. I will write it down. I will scribble on a piece of paper as I'm driving down the road, so I don't forget it, because I know I'll forget it when I get home.
No, we didn't hear you say that.
So
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do it at a stop
that.
sign, right?
It's a bad habit. Yes. Or I'm bad about writing it on my hand. So I might just try to write the name of the band.
Just something so you can go back to it. Yeah.
But I have a little moleskin notebook where I write down. I keep them written down in. So even if I'm not sure, if I, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when Ellie's in preschool, I have from 8 o'clock to 10:30 to work. And if I'm not if I don't have an idea, a lot of times I'll grab that and flip through it. And, that kind of helps me sometimes.
So you mentioned the Moleskinas. Is that your preferred journal, or do you have a preferred journal?
As far as doing mixed media work, I like the Strathmore visual journals with the mixed media paper.
So do you use the big ones, the small ones, or?
I have my first one. Here, I'm going to grab it real quick.
Okay.
Here on the floor. My very first journal that I got was, I guess this one's a Canson. I covered it up. This was my first one.
Oh,
my
cool.
First art journal. And it's got the mixed media paper in it.
Right.
So here's my very first page.
Wow.
And this was inspired from
That's
a
great.
Donna Downey, you know. So
Yep. And you even dated it and everything.
I don't date all of them. I always forget to date now, but this
Uh-huh.
is my very first one.
Good for you for saving it and dating it. That's wonderful.
And I think here's the second, which is Desperate for Time. So this was not long after Elliot was born.
Desperate for time. Yep.
But this is totally Paula inspired.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you know.
Paula is Paula Phillips of Journal Artista.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, definitely is a lot of those were totally inspired by what I learned from Paula. But then the visual journals came out.
Now, is that the small? That's the small one.
This is the smaller one.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed this. Because
Look hold it up from the side so we can see.
Yeah,
Look at that lusciousness.
This is a thin one.
That's great.
The other one. Well, I'm going to pull you off. I should have put these up on my table, but I was working on my canvas while I was waiting for you guys to come on. This is the last one.
Oh, wow.
So this is actually what I've been doing the Nano Jomo pages in. With Don Sokol. So in November.
Right.
For the
Nano Jomo or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes. So this was my very first year that I did that. So this was 2011, November 2011. So
what makes your pages all big and fluffy? Are you adding a lot of layers or a lot of embellishments or what makes them expand like that?
Well, usually it's because I recycle stuff in here. Because for the Nano Jomo, I kind of try to alternate between doing a collage page and a mixed media page.
Okay.
So I don't get kind of burned out. But I've got good grief, what's it called? The drywall tape.
Okay.
So that's on there.
The holy tape?
Yes, the holy tape. This is the mesh drywall tape that's on here. I don't know if you can see the squares. But that's the mesh kind.
Right.
So that's kind of a thick tape.
Yeah.
These are tags from clothing that I had got. So these are really thick. So I've just got, if I find something, if I think I can stick it on my journal or, on an index card, that's what I do. I don't throw it away. These are the top ends of the spiral pages that I ripped off.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I've just got lots of bulky.
So you have, you primarily, what I know you from is, I know you from collage and from the art journal mixed media kinds of pages, the two kind of different styles of pages. Do you combine those in the same journal, or do you have separate journals in the same one? Okay.
Well, for when I'm doing the Nano Jomo, I combine them.
Okay.
But besides that, all of my collage is in my collage journal.
Okay.
I don't mix them together.
Now, do you use the visual journals also for your collage journals?
No.
Okay.
Except for the Nano Jomo.
Right.
I like these because I can get 2 years in one book.
Okay. So 2 years in a book.
Years,
okay.
And this is 2 years.
Oh,
and then
that's
I have
great.
another one.
Oh, wow.
So, but besides that, I keep it separate. I keep all my, my collage pages in my collage journal. And then I have another one of these that while I'm working on these pages, anytime I have leftover paint, I scrape it in that book.
Okay.
And I've been calling that my hot mess journal. And all of those in there are just mixed media.
So your collage journal is what kind of journal?
It is one that I had made many years ago. Okay. I took a Susie Blue class online, and I think it was called A Lovely Dream, and it's not offered anymore. And I mean, it was probably, it was 2010, I think, that I made it, or earlier. and I made the journal, you know, from her class, and it was made from the big, huge sheets of watercolor paper.
Right.
And the thing that was the neatest about it is that it had these pages that folded out.
Mm. Yeah.
And then I was watching Donna Downey videos, her Inspiration Wednesday videos, and I had leftover smaller sheets of paper from making this, and I didn't want to throw them away because I don't like throwing anything away.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why don't I just put those in the signatures with that? So I kind of, it's a Susie Blues idea, and then I added the Donna Downey inclusions.
Okay. So we have a question here. Jerry says that she can see that you love to do the challenges, and she wants to know what appeals to you about the challenges, doing challenges.
I think because I just like just having that push to try to, you know, do somebody else's idea, I guess. Or if I'm not totally sure what I want to do, it's a jumping off point. What really interested me with the Nano Jomo ones at first is she always did songs.
Right.
And so that's what really got me hooked on that. She doesn't, last year was very hard for me because I got so used to always using song lyrics that I really struggled with last year's prompts because sometimes
it was very
like
different. It was very different.
They were totally different than they've ever been before. So some of them I really had a hard time with because it might just be, you know, like a picture of a house. And it's like, you know,
it's really wide open.
Yes. So,
and the Nano Jumo, for anybody that doesn't know, it's in November, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that right?
It's November.
It's for the whole month of November, and it's Dawn Sokol, Sokol, I believe. You can look her up online, and she it's on her blog, and she puts out a prompt every day, and she doesn't charge for it or anything. It's just, you know, to encourage people to art journal and so forth. So you can look it up. And there's another one that's NaNoWriMo that somebody else does. I don't know who that is offhand, where you're writing every day. So there's writing and there's art and so forth. So this takes us to this cool thing that happened here. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Look at that smile on your face. So tell me how that came to happen. What happened? What made you take the chance of submitting and so forth? How did that happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly, because
you had a brain fart one day, right?
I just got stupid, and I don't know. It's something that I always thought would be really, really cool. You know, and honestly, going back to Paula, she's was always such a huge influence, and you know, for me on pursuing my art. And she had been published a couple of times, and I was like, that is like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. Because I guess I'd never thought about how they got their artwork in the magazine. You know, it's like, oh, well, of course, people send their art in.
Right.
So it's always kind of been in the back of my mind, something that I wanted to do. And just always battling with, it's not, you know, they're not going to want it, it's not good enough, or just silly stuff like that. I really, really struggled with that, with just a positive, I just don't even know how to say it, just how I felt about myself and what I was creating. I guess I felt like it wasn't good enough for anything.
Now, I know that you also told us a while back that you had at least one or two of your journals in an art gallery, didn't you? Or part of an art show or something? It
was just at one of the local art stores.
Don't say it was just. Because
they took everybody's stuff. It wasn't like, you know, it was awarded or picked or anything like that. They took everybody's stuff and put it out. So.
But the point is, you had the courage to do that. I've never done that. There's lots of us that have never even thought about that. So kudos to you for doing that, for taking the chance on doing that.
And actually, that was this journal. It was my very, you know, it was
the same one. Oh, that one. Oh, that's great. Your first one. Wow. Yeah. Even your first one you submitted someplace. That's great. Displayed. Good for you.
I just, I don't know. And honestly, having Abby, my 19-year-old, to talk to
Mm-hmm.
is such a blessing to me because she understands. She gets it,
Mm-hmm.
she gets the self-doubt
Mm-hmm.
on, that you have when you're making something, um and just that not everybody understands how important it is to you, which I
Right.
struggled a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just some people around me, just it wasn't important or a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
um
And
and so
there's that judgment factor too,
yep.
where people judge your creativity. And I don't know about you, but I find that still challenging, you know.
Well, and I carry a lot of baggage just from personal choices that we made. We were in Air
Mm-hmm.
Force. My husband was in the Air Force, and I stayed home. I was the mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a college degree. I've never been to college. I've been a mom my oldest is going to be 25 in August.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my career.
Right.
And there were there have been people who've, made me not feel good for that.
Yep.
And you should have gone to work. And if you had, then your kids would have been wearing name brand clothing and, stuff like that. So I have always carried that self-doubt
Mm-hmm.
around, that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't anything because I didn't go to school. So
And
I
guess
think,
what? And guess what?
well, and I think that
You
applies to my
are.
art too, because I'm like, I didn't even go to arts. I've never done anything. I've never been taught anything
Mm-hmm.
officially. So therefore, my art's nothing.
And yet now you teach others. And that is amazing. And if you don't pat yourself on the back for that, then all of us around the world are collectively doing it for you, because the fact that you've taken that chance, you've put yourself out there, and you're teaching others, and you have a class coming up, and we'll get back to the art journaling article in just a minute, but you have a class coming up that is going to happen in July, right?
Yes, in July, and I forgot to write the dates down
I think
as I was getting ready. The 11th through the 17th, I think.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's a Monday through a Friday.
Okay.
And Rhomany at Rhomany's Realm.
Rhomany's Realm. Mm-hmm.
She has an online class that she does. Then hers lasts all through the year.
Okay.
But she asked me if I would teach a class in July, a collage class. So I'll be doing a class for, I'll have 5 days, Monday through Friday, where I'm going to teach a basic collage class.
And you said that you don't have to join for the whole year. That if people weren't aware of that, they could actually come in and do just this one class if they want to do your class, right?
Yes, it's a standalone class, and there's 3 other artists who are having weeks during that whole month of July. So you can only, you could just purchase my class, and or you can join with her year-long class.
The whole thing. Okay. That's cool. And so you guys that are watching live, if you look in the description box below the video, you'll see a link to that. And then if you're watching the recording, there'll be a link in the description box also. So a couple things before we go back to the Art Journaling magazine. Let's see. Trina wants to tell you that she just got the Rose book, which that leads me to tell you that PackerDi also has an AStore, which the link live is not in the chat or in the description box because I didn't get it in there. But it will be. I will put that in the links for the recording. So, and she said that in her AStore is that Rose book that she uses all the time. So Trina said she got the Rose book that you use all the time, and now she's trying to get the courage to start cutting into it. And a couple of other people said, being a mom is the most important job there is. It's nothing to look down on. Yay for you, PackerDi. It's a blessing to get to rear your kids at home. And many other things like that about people supporting you for being the mom. And I have to tell you, I did the same thing. I was a stay-at-home mom, and that's exactly what I did. I inherited a stepdaughter when I got married. I was 19 and inherited a 10-year-old. And then a couple of years later, I had my son. So, I mean, I started out at 19. I became a mother, and then it's never changed, And along the way, I've collected a few more here and there,
Yep.
I mean, it happens, right?
Yep.
So that hasn't stopped me from doing a lot of other things, but they've all pretty much been, most of them have been kind of home based or part time away from home. So I can really relate to that. So I'm going to jot down a note about one other question that we'll get back to here in a minute. So give me just a second to write this down so I don't forget.
Well, and I don't think I ever finished telling you why I got brave enough to do it.
Yes, and so let's go back to that. So
Yeah, 'cause,
you got brave.
I was talking to Abby, my daughter. It's like, oh, I
Uh-huh.
really want to do this. She's like, Mom, you just need to do it. Just do it. I know. You just, and so finally one day I was like, I think I might do it. She's like, you need to do it. You just do it. And so I, went online and read all the things that you have to do.
Yeah.
And you have to label it. And I filled out the biggest step for me is that I finally printed off the submission form that you have to send with it. So I printed it off, and then I let it sit there for a while, and I'd walk by and look at it. And I think I did that for a week. And then I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to fill it out. So I filled it out, and then I let it sit for a while. And then I finally was like, okay. So I read more, and
I'm glad you didn't rush into anything.
I didn't. It's like, and the whole time Abby's like, Mom, you can do this. You need to do it. You just really need to do this. And so, because we would talk on the way driving her to school. So finally one day I remember I went to the store and, took it in, and I was so nervous and my heart was just beating. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I get to it was at our grocery store. It's got the, the mail center in it. And I had the nicest young man, and I was like just shaking, and I was like, I'm going, okay, I can do this. And finally I was, I'm trying to do things and trying to fill out my address on the sticker and all this. And I was like, and he's, putting my journal in the envelope, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, this is something I've wanted to do for years, and I'm finally doing it. And, I was like, I'm, submitting my journal to this magazine, and it's, it's a huge deal. And he's like, I totally understand what you're talking about. He was a student at the university, and he's a writer. And he's like, I know exactly how you feel, and because I've submitted my art, my, my stories. And so he was so nice, and he's like, it's okay, we're going to get this done. And so and it was just funny. It's like,
now,
hey,
you actually,
it's all right now. It's in the, I've got it stamped, and I'm putting it in there, and they're taking, it's going to be okay. And it's like, okay.
Now you sent the actual journal, right?
Yes, that was like worse than sending a child off to college out of state. Because, I've been working on it for 2 years and really dumped some heavy personal, just, in it. And it's like, and actually I just got it back 2 Fridays ago. I got it back in the mail. So it had been gone since November.
Since November.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was out there. So how long after you sent it did you hear from the magazine that they were going to be using it?
The first thing that they do is they send you, if you send a postcard with it, a stamped address postcard, they will send it back to you to let you know that they got your package, because they know how obsessed we are with your stuff.
That's good.
So they let you know that it arrived safely. So I got that, and I'm like, okay. Because I kept on thinking, okay, I mailed it on Thursday. It's going to be the weekend. I'm trying to figure out when it would get there. And, so I got that. So I knew that they had it. By December, by early December, I knew that they had it. And then I got an email in January, and, it's like, we got your journal, and we would love to have you do an article. And it said a few other things, and I'm reading this going, okay, because I just figured, they might put a picture in the back. That's all. I was like, I'll just, I'll get a picture in the back. And I would have been totally so stoked to have a picture in the back of the magazine. And they're like, if you're interested, it had all these other requirements, and it said, please submit a 700 to 800 word article. And I was like,
700-800 word? Oh,
like,
no.
I know, right?
Right.
I have to actually write the article?
Right.
Like, oh my
No,
God.
could you just ask me questions or something? Somebody help me.
Yes. So actually, that's when our great Dee Dee comes in, because Dee Dee is the biggest mentor to me. You and Dee Dee, I just, I know that if I have a question or need some help, that you're two people that I know I can trust to talk to. And I talk to Dee Dee, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And, she talked me through it. And then after I wrote it, I sent it to her, and she's such a mom. She's so funny. She printed off her copy. She called me up. She printed off her copy, and she said, okay, you need to go someplace where it's quiet, and you need to sit down. And
because we're going to go through this.
And we went through it word by word. And, not a lot needed to be changed. I had a lot of that's in it, just unneeded things. But she helped me, she wanted to make sure that I submitted something that I needed to be proud of. And so that.
So for any of you that don't know who she's referencing, that's Dee Dee Willingham, and she's Inkwell. You'll find her on YouTube and Ustream and every place else too. So she either goes by Inkwell or Inkiwell, Inkiwell, depending on whether Inkwell was taken. So that's Dee Dee Willingham. So yeah, she has been, I think between Dee Dee and Paula, they have mentored so many of us, even if they didn't know they mentored us, they did.
Yes.
And so it's easy to get choked up about that for me, really, because both of them have been such important influences on me, and I know they have on you as well as so many other people. So, it's important for us to do that, to mentor other people. And so by putting yourself out here with this article, you've done that same thing for countless other people, whether you realize it or not. You have now mentored, it's safe to say, multi-thousands of people that you have now mentored. Don't even shake your head. Don't even shake your head.
It's just, I don't know. It's weird.
How many subscribers do you have on YouTube, my friend?
I think 9,600 or so.
I rest my case. That's what you're doing. You know?
And I was worried about the article because I was afraid it was, I don't know. I didn't want to give the impression that I'm just like a complete cuckoo, that I'm an emotional freak show.
Hey, we all are. We all are.
But it just, if anything, I think it's important for people to know there's a very wonderful and satisfying and beautiful way that you can express something that might really be awful that you're going through.
Yep. You can transform many of those experiences.
Yep.
And also, I think on top of that, not only can you transform them, but sometimes you just need to mark them down so that sometimes you don't want to repeat it. And sometimes I think that's important to mark it down and illustrate it somehow, so you go, been there, done that, don't need to do, got the t-shirt, don't have to do it again.
Yep.
So there's just lots of things going on with that. So one of the questions that came up in the chat that I think is a really interesting question also to ask you is that because you use a lot of images that are already published someplace, is there ever an issue with you doing, rearranging them, putting them together and, having copyright issues or anything like that?
I haven't personally, and that was another thing that kept me from submitting this journal, was I was worried about that because I knew, since I'm using it for my own personal use, I have never and never will sell anything collage like this. But I was concerned about that too. And it's like, well, would they even accept that for publication? And I know that question has been asked a lot since I saw it just whenever on Stampington's Facebook, whenever they put the picture up that this was in there, there was a lot of people asking, and it's a good question. I wish I had the answer.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I thought, okay, I'm going to submit mine is that they have featured Kelly Kilmer in Art Journal magazine a couple of times. And she's the #1 person that got me started on collage.
Okay.
So since I was like, well, you know, they're publishing her things and she uses magazine images also, then it must be okay.
And really and truly, it's up to them because they're the ones doing the publishing. You know, so it's up to them to make that determination is the way that I think of that, you know.
Well, and in my blue book that I have, it's a moleskin sketchbook, and this one where I've been doing a lot of stuff like this, a lot of these pages I'm totally hooked on Bella Grace magazine right now for their images. And since I know for sure that it comes from that, I tag them on Instagram, you know. And they've liked, you know, responded that they've liked it. So, you know, they know that I'm using them. They've never said anything.
Right.
And if they did, I would.
And if they're, I mean, that's my opinion of it is that you're not selling it, that and there are other authorities involved that know the ins and outs of all of that. So that would be my response to that, for what it's worth. Not that I'm any kind of authority. So can you show us some of the actual pages that you have in that journal? We want to see. Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, it's hard to show.
Oh, you're doing great.
The cover.
Oh, so cool. That's the cover of your journal?
That's the cover. And this one is completely full. So
now, is this the one you made in Susie Blue's class?
Yes.
Okay.
And then my new one, I did I tried to figure out how to recreate it. And so this is my new one, which is basically the same way with the inclusions in it. And I do have a video up for this one on my YouTube channel where I make this one. Okay. So it's got, just the leftover pieces and then it has the fold out.
Do you find the inclusions interesting, frustrating, whatever? That I've never done a journal that has inclusions in it like that because I think it would irritate the life out of me, but I haven't tried it.
Well, and I have to tell you, whenever I'm working on these, because I hardly ever cut the pages. I always tear it. And every single time that I tear one of these images, I think of you and I think, oh, Barb wouldn't like this because she doesn't like torn edges. But I like the inclusions because, like here's one. If you have a small picture, you can use a small image and you don't have to worry about filling up the whole entire page.
That's a great idea. Then you can have the double play when you have the front and the back of it. So that's
this
great.
This is just from a clothing ad. So that's kind of neat to have. And this is a smaller one.
And I can see how doing the inclusions in a collage journal like that, I can see how that would be less frustrating to me personally than the ones where you're putting paint and, all kinds of wet stuff on it. That to me just looks like that's a recipe for me to just create a mess,
Well, oh yeah, exactly. But, and I treat them as their own page. I don't try to make it all fit in with whatever's in front of it or behind it. So,
okay, show some more pages. We want to see some more.
I'll try to show you ones that weren't in the magazine.
Okay, great.
But because
did they pick and choose what they wanted to use?
They did.
Okay,
they did. So this was the very first page.
Oh, that's cool. Now, do you alter the images? Like, do you paint on? I see that you're painting on top of them somewhat now and then.
I don't a lot because it's really easy to rub off the image. Like, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but on this girl's cheek, I had tried to rub on it. I put some Neil color on there.
Okay.
And you can see right there where it's just depending on the magazine and
Yeah.
the quality of magazine. Sometimes it's really easy to rub the ink off from the paper of your
Right.
image.
Got you.
Or it'll warp. It'll wrinkle up really easy if you get it really wet. So I usually do just the cheeks or, the lips, or put some, do the eyes. I have one where I did color the background.
Okay.
And when I do that, I usually try to blend it with a baby wipe that's not super damp. But this was a black and white image.
Oh, wow. That's great.
So I used watercolor markers and painted around it, and then I just blended it in gently with the baby wipe.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But yeah, I was surprised because I figured they would have picked different ones than that they did. That they, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at the article, and they chose so many of them with the wings, because that is one of the things that I see you use a lot, right? Is the wings.
This one I colored her cape in red.
Okay.
So, yes.
And sorry, if you and I are in the same room, we would never, either one of us, ever finish a sentence. And I'm having trouble doing that with you, over the internet, because there's just too much frenetic energy going on here. So when you colored, before you go on, colored the cape, what did you color that with? Did you use a marker? Or do you remember?
This is a watercolor marker, I think.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That's a great idea. On the glossy paper, that I wouldn't have thought that would have worked as well as it did. That's great.
Well, and I'm sure that if it gets wet, it's gonna mess up.
Yeah,
it'll reactivate. So.
Well, the magazine images are going to mess up if they get wet too.
Yes. And sometimes it's just you kind of get what you get with them. Sometimes I don't know how, what I use on it, how it's going to react.
Yeah. But that's cool because you try it
too. So I colored her skirt in with the watercolor marker.
That's great. Love that one. So tell me about the wings as you're leafing through there. What inspired you to start using wings on your pages?
I don't know. I had a book. I think I can't remember if the book came first or the paper. Actually, I think I found this the paper first. It's the big poster sheets, and of course now I can't think of the name of it. But it had all these butterflies on it, and it's in with the specialty like wrapping papers.
Okay.
Maybe at some of the more quirky stores. I get mine downtown at one of our, neat little silly gift shops. But I found that at the store and I got it, and I think it just represents change and growth and blooming and kind of like all the things that I was trying to work on for myself. So,
and they're just so beautiful. They're so colorful and beautiful.
Well, yeah, the color and I don't know, I guess just being free and however I'm kind of feeling then, or wanting to break free or wanting to grow. And
yeah, that's great. I think that your inclusion of them and the way you've included them, especially, I mean, one of the images in the article, you've got the wings coming out of her head, with the watch face.
Yes.
And it's like, I would never think of that. Yeah, that one. I would never have even thought of that. It's like, that is so cool. I love that.
And I don't know how I thought of it either. I don't remember,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I'm going to try this. And so I'll, that's the saying is about time. So.
Now, do you do the image first and then find the words to go with it, or the other way around, or?
It kind of depends. Sometimes if I have, the last collage page that I did, just as an example, I had the song stuck in my head, and I had forever, and I'd always wanted to, do the lyrics to this song. And so I started with the lyrics that time, and that's for this one. So I had the lyrics in my head, and when I was doing work a lot, when I was working in my collage journal a lot, I had flipped through my magazines so much, and I have all my images organized in the plastic Sterilite drawers by category. And so I have one that has people in it, and I had flipped through those so often that sometimes whenever I'd have a song lyric or a quote or whatever that I wanted to use, I would remember seeing that in that pile and thinking, oh, that's going to work perfect. But this time I had the lyrics, and it's been so long since I had really done any. I just got my magazines out and started flipping through them, and, just kind of waited for the one to show up that I knew how her body language or the expression on her face was expressing what I was wanting to say.
Right.
So she's, obviously in this ad, she's supposed to look very, sexy and attractive. But with the song lyrics, I think it's more of a, I'm exhausted, because it says, Lord, I've been here for so long. I can feel it coming down on me. I'm a slow emotion replay of somebody I used to be. So to me, her face, by using those lyrics, it's more,
You paint the picture that you want to paint, and you emote. You create that image emoting in a different way than, it was intended or whatever, which I think is really cool, because I get hung up in being so literal often, without that, being expanded enough in my thinking to see it from different perspectives. So, I think that's one of the things that you're really good about, showing other people, well, I know for one, I have an entire file cabinet over here full of collage images. Now, do I use them a lot? Not a lot, but I went through them all last night, every one of them, and thinking, oh yeah, these are good. I should use these sometimes. Then I carefully put them back in the folders and put them back in the file cabinet. But they're there, so I can use them. So do you end up sitting down with things? Here's what I envision. I envision you taking a magazine and ripping a bunch of pages out for things that you like, and then I envision you sitting down and fussy cutting a lot of these things. So is that how you do it, or do you just find them, rip them out and stick them in drawers, or what do you do?
I rip them out and stick them in drawers. My time's too limited.
Okay.
To obsess with having things perfectly and organized perfectly. My categories are pretty broad. I have a people drawer and an outside drawer, and a bling drawer for, watches and jewelry, and animals and insects, and flowers, and backgrounds, which the backgrounds ones, I use those a lot when I'm doing postcards and stuff.
Okay.
I have one right here. Like, this was from a Ritz ad. You can see Ritz. But, the flowers and stuff are really cool. So the background, it's a neat background to use for, an ATC or an index card.
Yeah. Now, do you sometimes use paint and other mixed media things with your collage, or not?
I've done it a couple of times, and it's hard because I like so much texture on my mixed media pages. It's hard sometimes to combine the two because my pages are so lumpy. It's hard to put a magazine image on there.
Yeah.
But I've done a couple. Not a lot. I like the way it looks. I'm just not, I'm not as comfortable combining them. I have a couple. I was trying to find them, but I think it's in a different journal.
Yeah. Well, there was another question in the chat a little bit earlier that somebody wanted to know, when it was dealing with the challenges, Somebody wanted to know if you work on more than one challenge at a time, or do you stay focused like on the Nano Jumo or, that kind of thing?
I usually just do one at a time, because it's too much. It's too much.
Too much.
And my problem is that I like to share what I'm creating. And so sometimes I put off working on something if I'm not able to record it at that time.
Okay.
And, and it's a lot to edit the videos and everything like that. So, I just try to focus on one at a time.
Yeah.
Right. The only one that I have that overlaps is the 100-day project, which started on April 19th. The 100-day project started, and that goes through ICAD, index card a day. So
Oh, wow.
those will overlap.
So you're doing the 100-day project or challenge now?
I am.
And
I wasn't going to.
I'm not real familiar with that one, so tell me about that.
It's from a magazine called The Great Discontent, and you can pick the magazine up at Barnes & Noble, and it's a big, it's a tall magazine, and it's expensive. It's like $25. But it's all about artists, and there's just tons of great articles in it, just about struggles that artists go through, just everything that you can think of. But they started, I don't know if it was last year, it might have been, they started this 100-day project where for 100 days you just do something artistic every single day. And it doesn't matter what it is. There's no rules to what you do. You don't have to do the same thing every day, or, you can if you want to. But it's just to get you to be creative. Get you moving. Yep. Yeah. Just something. So I wasn't going to do it just because it hit when all of my world crashed down at home, just with our personal stuff and with my husband losing his job, which he got hired. I hadn't announced it officially, but he got hired and he actually started on Wednesday. Good. So we were incredibly, incredibly blessed that he was only jobless for a month. But it kind of all happened around the same time. And I was like, oh, I just don't even want to think about, about this. And Mixed Media Jen had tagged me on Instagram saying, hey, are you going to do this? And I was like, okay, fine.
All right, I will.
Fine, I'll do it. And I saw that someone on Instagram, and I can't remember what her name was, but she had posted that she had an 18 by 13 piece of watercolor paper, and for the next 100 days, she was just going to make some sort of mark on it. And I was like, that's totally doable. I can do that. It didn't, because I was afraid that I'd put too much pressure on doing something big every day. And I knew that there's just so much going on that was too much. And I was like, well, I could do that. I could make a mark, on this piece of paper for the next 100 days. And I went downstairs for something, and I've had this canvas sitting downstairs in the basement for probably 3 years now. And it's a huge canvas that Abby had, and she had to draw her face on it for art in high school, her senior year, and she hated it. And she was going to throw it away, and I was like, don't throw this away.
No, I think I saw that. I think I saw that.
It's like first of all, it's like a $60 canvas.
Well, yeah.
Like, what? So not long after she gave it to me, I covered it all over with gesso. And my vision at the time was having like some big poppies on it or something. So I was like, oh, I'll put it in this front room here. And I took some book paper and put some book paper on it, and then I put 3 different colors of tissue paper on it, kind of all wrinkly, and that was it. That was like 3 years ago. And so I thought, okay, I've got this big huge canvas, this might be fun to mess with for the next 100 days.
And how big is your canvas?
Oh, I think it's like 36 by 24. Okay. It's big. It's
Are you doing it vertically or horizontal, or do you know yet?
I actually finished it.
Oh, you did?
I did. I was working on it vertically, which was really hard. And I must say that an easel would probably be really helpful because
Yeah.
it's hard to get things straight. And I have a thin countertop that I work on. So I've got this huge canvas and it's hanging off and it's propped up on a chair. And, you're trying to do things and standing sideways and so that I could paint it on it, and it's wide. And so I actually started it vertically, but by the time that I finished it, it ended up horizontally. So
is it where we can see it?
If I walk you over there, yeah.
Okay, we'll walk with you.
Okay, everybody hold on. I'm going to unplug you. I plugged your plug. Okay.
Okay, we're walking, people. We're walking.
My goal, I figured it would take me the 100 days to work on this canvas.
Yeah.
And, but I hadn't painted in so long, trying to turn the lights on, that I found myself forcing myself to quit working on it because I was afraid that I was going to work on it too quickly and then it would be done. And so finally one of my friends is like, just do it. Just work on it.
Just do it.
There.
Oh, wow.
Okay. There.
Nice.
I'm trying to hold my arms up as high as I can.
That's nice. That's great, Di. Thank you.
Those are Jello boxes.
Oh, what a great idea. Jello boxes as canvases.
Yes.
That is such a cool idea, people. Canvases made out of Jello boxes.
Well, and I got that idea from someone on YouTube, and I can't remember her name, because she actually creates her own canvases from recycled materials.
Wow.
She uses the boxes from saran wrap and things like that. And she covers them and then with book paper, and then she fixes them all together in a frame, and then she tapes together magazine pages till it's a big sheet, and she puts that over the box frame and makes and I was like, holy moly.
Okay, so, I just have to tell you, this is a confession. I am too lazy to do that.
So I am too, and I don't go through that much saran wrap personally.
No, I don't either. That's true.
But at the time, Gracie had her surgery for her teeth, and all she could eat was Jello. And so I had 500 of these Jello boxes.
You overrun with Jello.
So I'm like, okay, I don't want to. We recycle everything, but I was like, hey, if she can make this big, huge one, why can't I use a Jello box? So.
It would be kind of fun to put. Now I see you've got me thinking, and I don't need Jello, but I might have to go buy some for the box. How silly is that? But I can see those put together as 9 of them or 12 of them put together as, to create one big canvas, but have each one its own small canvas. Do you still have some of them left?
Oh, yeah. Actually, if you can see that little box up there behind me on top of the bookshelf, that orange thing, that is full of Jello boxes.
So there you go. Okay, so I got some comments for you. First of all, lots and lots of thumbs up and woot woots and congrats to your husband, and wonderful news about his job. God is so good. And then next purchase for Di is an easel.
Yes.
Vicky BR says that. And then when you went over and showed the canvas, there was lots of awesome, very cool, beautiful, clever, beautiful. The clever, I think, was in regards to the Jello boxes, beautiful and cool beans. And Whip Smart Carol wants to know, is there also a blue canvas? I saw a blue one on Instagram that Dianne did.
Yes. After I finally thought, why am I, I'm not letting myself be creative, trying to only work on this, to stretch this huge canvas out for 100 days. And I just was like, okay, forget it. If I want to work on it more, because I was trying to add 1 layer a day was my original thought. So after I finally got over that and thought, I'm just going to finish this. And it's like, okay, what am I going to work on next? I thought, well, I'll still do canvases. So luckily there's several odd size ones laying around. So I started on the second one.
Okay.
And it actually and I posted on Instagram the picture that it started out with, because Elliot had actually painted on it a little bit with some watercolors. So the colors that were on it, I actually pulled them out so that I could remember. These were the colors that he had painted on the canvas.
Okay.
So I figured I'd use that for inspiration for doing this next one.
Mm-hmm.
So I started this one.
Pretty.
So, and I've never done like abstract stuff like this on a canvas before.
That's
ever.
nice. Yeah.
And so I actually had a while ago, if you have Amazon Prime and a Kindle and you have Kindle Unlimited, there's oodles of free books on there that you can borrow. You can't keep them, it's their lending library.
Right.
And I had downloaded a book called Abstract Expressions. I'm looking for it here. Her name's Deborah Stewart. And so abstract art painting. That's probably not going to show up.
Oh, it almost did. Hold it up there.
Oh, I touched it, dude. Moved it to the page. But I've been...
Hold it for a little bit longer when you find it.
So I thought, I'm going to use it because she has there's parts in the book where she takes you step by step, on creating this canvas. So I've been using that to guide me along.
There we go.
Steps.
Yeah, there it is. Abstract art, painting, expressions, and mixed media. Nice. So how does that lending library work? I'm not real familiar with it.
I think you can only have 10 books checked out at a time.
Okay.
But there's a part on the site that has all of the books that you can borrow. But it's got, every category that you can think of. But, it'll just say, borrow for free, and you can download it. And then after you're done with it, there's a button where you can push to return it.
Okay.
And then it takes
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Borrowing a digital book.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's a concept.
Awesome. There's tons, because I had, whenever I kind of started playing around with the idea of doing the 100 project, I really want to start working on drawing, because I don't draw. I don't draw.
Yet.
But I would like to draw.
Yet.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll start working on sketches and do a sketch a day. And so I'd gotten on there and borrowed several drawing, sketching, urban sketching, books like that they have too. So that's really cool resource.
That's nice. And then if you find one you really like, then you have to buy it.
Right.
But whether you want to buy it or not that way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, and also even if you don't have the unlimited, but you have a Kindle or, on Amazon, you can at least get the sample, which is great.
Right. That's true.
You can, at least see some of the pages to see if it's worth to buy.
That's true. Eileen says she loves that canvas. She loved the other one also. She loved the blue canvas, the last one you showed. And she also said that was a great book. Now, Eileen would know. Yes. Because we all know. We all know how Eileen is about books and supplies, don't we?
It's Amazon, yeah.
Teasing Miss Eileen. Teasing Eileen. Because we have to. Well, that's cool. So is that what you're kind of thinking of on the at least that's what you're into right now for the 100 days, is the whole canvas thing, or are you going to just go where the wind blows?
I think I'm going to try to stick with the canvas. I'm not sure, because part of me is really excited to finally be creating some art that I can put up in my house. But I am really frugal with my art purchases, and canvases are, decent sized canvases are really expensive. So,
and they take a lot more supplies too.
Yeah, they do. So I'm not totally sure. I know I have a few more canvases sitting around here that I can do things, and I think I've talked myself into trying to make one for each of my children's teachers. For a gift for the end of the year. So that's 4 canvases, because they each have a teacher's aid. So I'm not sure, because then
you can always use Jell-O boxes.
Yes, well, and I have oodles of Jell-O boxes.
That's right.
So whole pile. Actually, the other thing, now that I look up there, that orange box there, I picked that up at the Goodwill, and that's one of those Betty Crocker recipe mail order things from the 70s, which is totally awesome. Yeah. So I might start altering one of those a day.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
know, since
Yeah. So is it
I've
full
got
of recipe cards?
Oh, it's the whole set. Whole set. Yep. And
That's
they were
great.
still in perfect order. They were, it looked so pretty. Everything's all stacked up in there. And then I had it down on the floor. And one day my granddaughters were over and I wasn't watching. And usually they totally stay out of my stuff. But boy, one of them, and she was like 1.5. She lifted that lid open and we came around the corner and all of my cards were. So now they're all out of order, which is really dumb that I'm like, oh, they're out of order.
Well, since they are, you might as well alter them.
That's right.
Might as well
I could
use them.
start on those, but I definitely have 4 that I need to do, and I think I'm going to do the what is it, 6 by? It's those the thin rectangle one. I guess it's 6 by 12.
Okay.
So.
That's great. That's great.
But iCAD starts up on June 1st, and it's June through July. So.
Okay.
And last year I think I might have done a video for almost every card.
And the iCAD, for anybody that doesn't know, is an index card a day. And
yes.
Is it, that's considered like the 3.5 by 5, right? That
Yes.
size? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Or 3 by 5 or whatever it
That's
is.
the back. Here's the front.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
usually try to make a title card for the beginning of each year.
And what do you do with those? When you get them done, do you put them in a box? Do you put them in a basket? How do you display
year,
them?
In June on Father's Day in Walnut, Iowa, for anybody who's close by, I'll meet you there. There's a huge antique fair the whole weekend. It's the Walnut our antique walk. But we always go because it's one of our traditions. And I found this glass.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Little tray, and I love antique glassware and bowls, Pyrex. Oh my heavens, I'm like a Pyrex addict. But I found this.
There are worse things to be addicted to, Di.
I know. But I found this, and I thought that would work perfect for holding my cards because it's So I left it on my desk, and then as I made a card, I put it in there. But this past year, I think I did the most weirdest things with my cards than I have in the past.
Okay.
Because I start kind of running out of ideas. And so that's when I really like, okay, what weird thing can I use to put on here? So this one is the little round bottoms from those little party poppers. You pull the string. They have a little they have a little paper circle that covers over the hole to hold it all in.
And it's too good to throw away because it's
too good to throw away.
Same.
So this, so my brain's like, they're all over the deck because the kids are out there popping them everywhere, and I'm like, dude, what can I do with these? How would those look on a card? That's how I think all June and July. Oh, what would that look like on an iCAD? So that's what those little circles look like.
That's great.
And I even used the streamer stuff that spits out of the party poppers.
I think I remember you doing that one. Yeah, that's great.
Yep. So I definitely branched out in.
Just so you know, Trina just got the abstract art book in her reader just now.
Oh. This is these are all the little tags from tea bags. It's hard to see, but yeah, I just kind of,
So you put those, what you have if you stack those inside the glass basket. Oh, that's so good. That's a great idea. And then you can flip through them and look through them, and there's no restriction if you add more stuff to them. So that's great.
Is a mesh bag from Bag of Fruit.
Yep.
So I just, and all the other ones, I think this might be my 4th year doing these.
Wow.
So I have one of those big metal file drawers, the index file drawers.
Right.
I found one of those at the Goodwill, and I have all the other years in that. And it's full. And then
Do you go back? Do you go back and look at them?
Sometimes I do.
Oh, that's great.
So
Gracie's joining you this year, huh?
Or she usually does. She usually makes cards, and then our anniversary's in June, so I always have, a card for our, for that. But besides that, Abby's golden birthday was last year, so this is This is actually the wrapper from a Linder Mint. Not
You're the
mint,
only
but little
person I've
circles.
ever heard talk about golden birthdays other than people in my family.
Yep. Yep. See.
Yep. Yep. That's great.
So,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, and it's it's something small that it doesn't have to take you forever to create. And yet, look at how much art you've generated just with those.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Well,
that's
and it's
great.
there's no, what I like is like I said, I'm like, well, what's it gonna be like? Let's try it. Hey, is that gonna work? Let's glue this down and throw some paint over it and see, see what happens. So it's a fun place to just play and,
So Whip Smart Carol wants to know if the streamers bleed, if the ink on those streamers bleeds.
They did not. They did not bleed.
They didn't. Okay.
No. They did not bleed. Not that I remember.
But then that's a few things ago.
I don't think I don't remember them bleeding. And I think I had used them, like the year before too. So the year before for Abby's birthday, I used some of the petals from her flowers that she'd gotten. They had some little purple petals, and so I put those on there. So
That's great. Well, that's super. And Ruth wants to know, what is golden birthday? Well, in our family, and I think, correct me if you do it differently. In our family, it was however old you were on the number day you were born. So when I was born on the 18th, so it was when I turned 18 on the 18th.
Yep.
That year.
Yep.
Is that what you guys do?
Yep.
Yeah.
She was 19. She was 19 on the 19th.
So if you're born on the 1st, golden birthday doesn't mean much to you. But the older you get, in our family, birthdays were always, mid-month for most of them. And so it was a big deal, when you got to celebrate your golden birthday, So that was pretty cool. So, yeah. It was a big deal in our family for sure. So, and well, I know that you recently, I saw pictures that you did. You remodeled a dress, didn't you, for Gracie for First Communion?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. On top of all that other stuff that was going on at the time, we had Gracie's First Communion. So I was really surprised because my sister-in-law had given me this beautiful, dress that her daughter had worn, and it was all frilly and sparkly and then but I still had Abby's dress, in the closet, and I was like, well, here's Abby's dress, and she put it on, and that's what she wanted to wear. So the only problem with Abby's dress was that I never finished it. When Abby wore it, the hem, it was a much more advanced sewing project that I'd ever done before in my entire life, and I was up until 4:00 in the morning, the morning of First Communion, bloodshot, dry eyes, still at the sewing machine in the basement by myself in the dark, and all that had to be done, the bottom of it was scalloped with tulle around it, and I just couldn't get, it had to be tacked up. Every single one of those scallops, it had to be tacked up. So I only did like every third one. I was like, just as long as she makes
just get down the aisle. Just get where you need to go.
Yep. So Abby made it back and forth in the dress, but it needed to be fixed before Gracie wore it. And then, of course, as I'm messing with it, I pulled it out, and there's like this yellow something on the collar, and it's like, oh my gosh, this has been here for like 15 years, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But it was really neat because they are so similar in appearance that seeing her in it, and at the same church, and everything's the same, and having them take their pictures in front of the same stuff.
I know you weren't emotional.
It's just
I know
weird
you weren't.
Sometimes it's having them, kids that are so far apart in age. It's like, we completely started over from the very beginning.
That's right.
And and Gracie looks exactly like Abby, and Chris and Elliot are carbon copies. So
it's
sometimes
amazing.
I'm like, is this 1997 or is this 2016? Because I'll glance at Elliot, and it's like, is that Elliot sitting there? Is it Chris? And,
that's great.
but it's also made me treasure my older kids more because now they're, I hug Chris, and his head is like appear.
Yeah.
And he actually turned 23 today. He's my birthday present.
Oh, that's
so,
great. That's wonderful.
when I hug on to him, it just makes me want to hug on to these guys even more.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
it's like smack in my face that it goes by fast.
It
'cause all I
does.
have to do is look at my big kids.
It does. That's wonderful.
So,
I'm glad you're.
people always tell you how quick it goes. Oh, you just wait, it goes by. But
I know.
have like the living examples with me.
When you're in the middle of it, though, boy, those are like the last words you want to hear. But it's really true. It's really true. Okay, so we have one last question. In your collage journals, do you do the backgrounds first?
Yes, like I'll put the. Do you have a tooth coming through? Really? Yay! Sorry, we have another tooth coming in.
Hey, cool! It's a celebration.
It is a celebration.
Yeah.
Yay! That's wonderful. Okay, go on. I put the. What? I'm not exactly.
The
sure
backgrounds. Do you put down a sheet? Do you put down a whole background image, or do you piece a background image and then go on top of it with your focal images? Or
I do both. It just
Okay.
kind of, like this one right here. This one right here. I didn't alter the magazine image at all.
Okay.
That's her on that background.
Oh, okay. So it just really depends on your image.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just cut around this so I could tuck the flower in behind there.
Got you.
But then like this one, I actually cut her out and put her on an image. It just
Okay.
kind of depends if I like what's going on in the background or not.
Right. Good. Makes sense.
Yeah, this one I put down. This one has like a field, almost like a beachy thing in the very back.
Uh-huh.
This flower is actually from a shoe ad, and right behind her, and because I had to position the wings just perfectly, but right behind her is this big tennis shoe
Oh, how funny.
on the flower.
When you know the rest of the story, it's amusing, isn't it?
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. So I just kind of had to wiggle things around enough.
Till
And
you
I
got
think
it.
actually you can probably see a little bit of the shoe, but there's a big tennis shoe behind her body. So.
But nobody knows what it is because most of that's hidden, so
Yep.
you'd never know.
Yep.
Well-
It just depends how I like the image. If I just like the person, but I don't like the background, I'll cut the person out. But
So is there anything that you want to, that you'd like to leave with the viewers? We have a nice group watching, and they've really enjoyed having you and the kids and getting to see your work and your play and all the things that you've got going on. So is there any last thing you want to tell them?
gosh, I don't know. I guess the biggest thing that I've learned on my journey through art journaling is if anything pops in your head, like when you're working on stuff, and you know how you get in that, I don't know, you get in that zone where you're just like, nothing's around anywhere else. And if something silly pops in your head, no matter what it is, try it. I think you need to listen to that. Just like, because whenever I first started doing the collage journaling and I was working on this girl, for some reason, I was like, well, she needs something on her head. And I was looking through a magazine and I saw that ring and I was like, oh, I wonder what that would look like if I cut that out and put it on her head.
Yeah.
And I didn't question myself on that. I just went ahead and did it. And now that's like one of the things that I love doing is putting, jewelry and rings on their heads for a crown.
That's great.
And it definitely applies, whenever I'm working on like these ATCs that I just did.
And that started with a baby wipe?
This is a baby wipe that had blue paint on it from this canvas. So I had, wiped some of the blue paint off. And a lot of times how I get my baby wipes to not be so muddled is I might only wipe a couple of paints off with it. I don't try to do a whole lot with it. So I probably use more baby wipes. But I also end up with baby wipes that have pretty paint splattered on them. I'm trying to grab one because I know I have one right here. So like as I was working on those ATCs, I dripped the paint off on this one. So that way, you know,
You
now I
already have
another
ready-made
cool-
materials.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
But you know, just if something comes to your head to use next, even with colors, because I don't, you know, consult the color wheel or anything like that. I'm just like, oh, I wonder what this will do on there,
Yeah.
and then I'll grab it and do it. But
Oh, that's great. That's like it's
whenever-
like the best thing that anybody that's creative can have is the I wonder what or I wonder if. Yeah, such
well,
good
and to
advice.
not question it. You just got to do it. Just don't even think about it. Because
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, get out the gesso. You know, I've done that many times. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work, or if you don't like the way that it looks, cover it up. Who cares?
Yeah,
You know, don't get all
Yeah.
bent out of shape about it. At least you try. Because if
exactly.
you don't try, then you don't know if it's going to look cool or not.
Exactly. And you know, I've found in some of the things that I've done, the pieces that I start on and I think this is going nowhere fast. This is a disaster. This is like the worst thing ever. This is so ugly. I mean, this is butt ugly. You know, that's ugly. And I had a comment on the video from or the stream from last week, and somebody said, because I was referencing a carving that my husband did that is ugly. And she said, the only thing worse than ugly is being naked and ugly. It was like, the good point. So I've done some things that are both ugly and naked and ugly, you know, and I think this is the worst thing ever. And somehow, by keeping working on the thing or setting it aside for a while and coming back to it, that sometimes those are my very favorite things I ever did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's crazy.
You know, you just got to try it. Because
Yeah.
if I go into something, the other thing I've noticed is if I like try to force myself in doing something or working on something, then it, you know, then it just doesn't work. It
Yeah, you can usually tell that
yeah,
it's forced.
it just,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when because my first canvas that I really tried to work on, I really, really forced a lot of it. And,
Yeah.
you know, it'll get painted over.
Right.
'Cause but the ones that I'm just like, okay, I'll try this and I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I know we soaked up a lot more time than I told you we were going to do, but it was just so much fun. So, you know, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your kids with us and sharing the new tooth coming in. That's a good thing. And and all of your beautiful art. And we just all wish you so much success. And as you continue growing and exploring and just having fun. And, you know, I just think it's great. And thanks for all the things you've done to share with all the rest of us.
Well, thank you. I know I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if people weren't there supporting me. So
Sure.
because you know it's easy to get frustrated.
Yeah.
But when
It is.
even just knowing that when even just when one person tells me that, you know, I've helped them work through something by starting journaling or anything like that, then that's, you know, that's all that I need. And I just keep telling myself, it's like, well, obviously I stayed a mom and had the experiences that I've had and gone through everything that I have for a reason. And it's so that I'm able to do what I'm doing now,
Right.
you know, so.
That's right. And it's great. So keep it up.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go, but thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
really
you,
great.
everybody.
All right. I will see you on the interwebs.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So, how much fun was that? Did you guys enjoy getting to see PackerDi and listening to her, all of her great stories and all the things that she, getting a little peek inside her mind and her, her process. I think it's just wonderful to learn and see other people's processing and so forth. So you did. Okay, good. Hi, Joyce. Nice to see you. And Artie Farty Fairy. Hi, Joanne. So you guys liked it? Good. I just thought it would be fun for you guys to be able to, see more of. And I'm always interested in, things, especially things like, when you get published in a magazine like that, any magazine, I don't care what it is, or in the newspaper for that matter. I think it's just fun to hear the process that somebody went through and to hear how terrifying that was for her and how much courage it took for her to do that. I thought that was great that she was willing to share that with us. So, okay, well, that's going to be what we're going to do today. I was thinking maybe I'd do some art journaling with you guys, but I think I will save that and do that at another time. So thank you all so much for joining me and for your questions and comments. And the question is, does she do a live stream? And no, I don't think she does. She used to a long time ago. She did on Ustream, but I think primarily she does YouTube videos. So, yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments before I wrap it up for today? Oh, yeah, the sponsors. Thank you, Allie. Goodness, I almost forgot the sponsors. And it's even cloudy outside, and they're, like being quiet. That's what happens. They get quiet, and I forget them. Okay, let me put this rearranged so I got room for them. Let me get the sponsors. Hi, Kia. Are you coming out? Oh, here comes one. Here comes one. Are you coming up? Are you going to come up here and see everybody? Are you coming up? Come here. Come on. You can't be that sleepy. You can't be that sleepy. He only made it just outside the door. Yeah. Here comes Charlie. All right. Let's see if we can get you here where they can see your face. He's ready for his close-up. That might be a little close. That might be a little too close. You get it too close, and what he wants to do is rub his face on the camera. Your eyeballs are all cruddy again. You got to clean up your face better when you're going to be on camera for the world. Charlie, are you coming up? Are ya? Or are you just going to talk about it? Are ya? Okay, come here. Come here. Oh, talking. Come on. Okay. Whew, I'll tell you. It's a lot of work managing these two felines, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's a lot of work managing these felines. All right. So, now that we've all been here and we didn't forget them, thank goodness we didn't forget them. We don't want to do that. We're going to go, and so thanks everybody for joining me today and with Dianne Fago, PackerDi, and her children, and Charlie and Chance. We all say have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you next week, if not before. I may do an impromptu stream later just to do some art journaling, but I'll let you know. So I'll see you next time. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for joining me on a Drama-Free Friday. And remember to get creative today because it's easy. See you later.